can hear you. Ready, Jen? Here we go. So I'm ReneMarie. Welcome to ReneMarie's Stroke of Luck. What an incredible first show we had with Dr. Mike, talking about stem cells and talking about Jeff Fetterman. Oh my gosh, I can't even think. John Fetterman and Bruce Willis. So we really had a wonderful show, and we're going to continue that conversation about stem cells. And Judy actually is going to read Tony Mugg's press if you're ready, Judy. And we want to welcome Tony Muggs to the show. We've known him since 2016. He was a part of our telethon that year. And we're really blessed and honored to hear his stroke story and hear his survival story. And you know me, I'm a music fanatic, love music. Music is my life. That's how I speak. So I think it's really an important show to talk to Tony about how music helped him through his process, and how it really how it helped him to be successful in his recovery. Because as he was saying in the Zoom green room, they didn't tell him, they told him he wasn't going to survive. So to be a survivor and an advocate for strokes and aphasia is really what life is about for me, I know, and I'm sure for Tony as well. So we can't wait to hear from him. So Judy, if you want to unmute yourself and you can read your story, then we're going to go to, we're going to welcome Tony. We're going to go welcome back Dr. Mike, and we're going to go to Dr. Mike's continuing conversation, and then we'll flow into Tony's conversation. So you ready, Judy? You're not unmuted. You need to unmute yourself. No, click it again. 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 That's no. You got to click it again. You're still on mute.
You want to call me and do it on the phone?
No, you can unmute yourself. Oh, there you go.
There you go.
Okay.
Okay.
Tony is a graduate of Notre Dame High School in 1990 and attended Catholic College Prep 2 years at Oakland University, Rochester Hills, Michigan, and 5 years at Wayne State University in Detroit, and decided to pursue his passion for music. Tony has been playing music and picking up instruments from a young age. His original rock band was called Fat Belly Brown. Tony's first blues band was Vince Knight and The Daze. In his mid-20s, he joined Detroit Underground Blues Band while writing songs and playing bass guitar at Fat Belly Brown. February 2000, together with his bandmate from FBB, Danny Methric, they formed the Muggs. Since 2000, the Muggs have been around for 20 plus years. Throughout those years, he's been in several original projects, one of which is his songwriting project and power pop rock band called The Dude. The others include the Golden Fools and the Black Irish. Tony suffered a hemorrhagic stroke due to an AVM. He was not expected to survive. Tony had full right side paralysis and aphasia. He spent 2 long months in the hospital and a rehab center in downtown Detroit. Tony went through the outpatient rehab program, and since then has been using the knowledge of PT, OT that have given him exercise, stretch, and ability to work within the constructs of his disability. He mentions that there were no early symptoms, excuse me, other than the day of his stroke when he slurred his speech. The interesting story of Tony Muggs' recovery and his talented musical background will help show others to never give up.
Yes, thank you, Judy. Thank you. So, like I said, Tony, welcome. This is the first time you're officially on live with us, and this Zoom world is like incredible that we can have people from around the world. So we're so happy that you're a part of our world now.
I'm so pleased to be here. Thank you so much for having me. And Judy, that was wonderful. Thank you.
Say it again, Tony. Say it again. Thank you, Judy.
Judy, that was wonderful. Thank you for the introduction.
Good. we have, like I said before, Judy's having some technical difficulties, but we're making it work with, so she can hear the show. But before we start the conversation with you, Tony, I really want to give Dr. Mike the opportunity to share a little bit more about stem cell, because what we didn't touch on the first part of the show was the conversation about really why you wanted to be on the show. And I believe you helped Dr. Jim in his recovery. Am I correct in my mind thought?
Well, through being a chiropractor, but then he also, well, just to go back a little bit about stem cell injections, okay, because people have heard, that's where we left off on the last show. People have heard a lot probably about stem cell injections. They're not covered by insurance because they're considered experimental investigational, but they're very expensive. The least expensive stem cell injections around $2,500. The most expensive could be over $10,000 an injection. And I say that the stem cells are kind of like, you know, the military. If you want the National Guard, it's $2,500. The Navy SEALs will cost you $10,000. So the quality of the stem cells are much better with the more expensive shots. But the problems that people run into is that they could have positive effects, but also possible negative effects, because these are other people's stem cells with other people's DNA. So you could run into difficulty having an adverse reaction to them. But what happened with Jim is that Jim had a spinal surgery and was in pretty bad shape. And I had not seen him for a number of months. And we actually had a little prayer session on one show that we did for Jim with you when he was recovering. And then because, you know, nothing happens by accident. And Jim had a friend who introduced him to these stem cell patches, which is made by LifeWave. I'll just show you what they look like. This is the package it comes in, and this is what the actual patch looks like itself. And it's very small, about the size of a quarter, and you can put it on your body. And when I saw Jim the one time in my office, he barely could get across the parking lot with his walker.
Yep.
And then I saw him a couple months later, and he hardly needed a cane. And I said to him, "What happened?" And he said to me that he got introduced to these stem cell patches. He's been using them. And I started investigating them right away. And the way they work is that, first of all, the cost involved is around roughly $100 a month, which is, you know, not pocket change, but it's a far cry from $2,500 to $10,000 a treatment.
And that isn't covered by insurance either?
Not covered by insurance. And the company, they're very smart about this. They do not make any medical claims. They say they're a general health and wellness product. And I know about this from my company that I have, FIR Industries, or tourmaline products, because we have the same type of situation. Because as soon as you start saying that you're making medical claims, then you have to go through a whole clearance process by the FDA, which is cost prohibitive.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And you have to have double-blind studies. It's extremely expensive. So he introduced me to this. I decided to do that myself, to get the patch myself. And the way it works is that from the day we're born to the day we leave this planet, our stem cell production diminishes. You need stem cells to heal. And that's why old people heal a lot slower than young people. And what happens, like I said, it diminishes every day, unfortunately, from the day we're born. And what happens when you're around 60 years old, your stem cells are a far cry from what they were when you were 20 years old. So what this does is, it's a term called biohacking, where you're basically having the body do something that it normally would not do. So you're turning the key to turn on stem cell production like you were when you were a young person. And there's a GHK copper peptide that is the key that turns on the stem cell production. And the way it works is that the patch absorbs your body heat and produces a far infrared energy. It's called a thermal photonic conversion. And that energy from the stem cell patch makes the body generate the copper peptide that turns on your stem cell production again. Now, what that can do for you is all kinds of things. The stem cells, your body has an innate intelligence that's smarter than any supercomputer. And that's one of the gifts that was given to us by God to try to make us healthy. But we can only be healthy with the proper set of circumstances. And what this does is you can't make the omelet without the eggs. And the stem cell production are the eggs that make the omelet. And they go around your body and basically repair things that need to be repaired.
Wow.
According to a priority, your body prioritizes it and puts the stem cells where the body thinks it needs it the most. And it's amazing. If you want to get more information about it, you can contact my office. And my phone number, I just give my office phone number, is 201-447-3800. And my website is Dr. as in Dr. Evangel, my last name, like T Evangelist without the ist, DREVANGEL.com. So what happens in this situation is that your body produces these stem cells and they go to work. And I could send you a video, and I sent Renee the video, if you saw the video of this woman. I know it's politically incorrect, but there's no political incorrectness in my office. We just tell the truth.
Yes.
She went from hag to hottie, this woman. It's like, she looked like she had major plastic surgery. It's like 25 years difference. What bothered me is it showed the photograph after 355 days. They couldn't go the extra 10 days to do the 365 a full year. But she looked like, a different person. It's phenomenal. And it helps the collagen, the elastin in the skin. That's just the surface of, and you know how many billions of dollars is spent every year on looking younger.
Yes.
But internally is what it really does the most benefit. And it helps Jim. I was getting the story. It helped him tremendously to basically get out of his situation. And I'm sure he was depressed, being the condition he was in. How could he not be, to being basically functional again?
And I can actually attest to, not that that was the cause of it, because I don't know what happened between the beginning and the end with his medical process, but I was in touch with him on a continuous basis, and he was really ill. He was really struggling. He was really in a lot of pain. So it's incredible. You're, like you said, Dr. Mike, the transformation that he has gone through. And he's up and running again, not literally running, but he's walking so much better than he was before with that walker. I remember him with the walker. And it was really scary. It was really scary.
I was a little reluctant at the beginning because this is a multi-level marketing corporation. And I've been, like Amway and those companies, and I had a few bad experiences in the past with situations like that. But, what people can do is they can, approach it as a customer and just purchase it, or they could do it as a business, whatever they like to do.
Yeah. And
there's an opportunity to make a considerable amount of money, and people do with that, sharing it with other people. And, but that's, the main thing is for people, to get healthy. Yeah. And as far as post-stroke survivors, it can help them in many, many ways. As far as all types of different injuries, Danny Glover, there's a video that I saw because he has MS, and it helped him tremendously with his MS. Wow. And a lot of people didn't even know he has MS. Wow. And Parkinson's disease, it helps a lot of different conditions. And they say that you should be using the patch for 1 month for every 10 years you're alive to get the full benefits. So if you're 60 years old, you should do it for 6 months. But the things that I saw myself is that I actually have some patients who are asking me if I'm doing Botox, or I have less gray hair than I did about 5 months ago I started. has less gray hair. It wish it started growing back a little more though, but maybe that'll happen with time. But I feel like I have a lot more energy. I'm sleeping better. And as far as mental focus and clarity helps tremendously. And I was never one to really take crap from people, but I have very low tolerance for anybody with any negativity now in my life. Yeah. I just tell people, the way it is. And I think if you do that in a diplomatic way, you feel a lot better because, when you have people that draw you down, and we all have those people that we know, that it's not partly sunny outside, it's partly cloudy. Everything is to the negative.
Yeah.
And, we really have no use for them in our lives because they draw us down. We need positivity and enlightenment. We don't need to be dragged under the tides.
That's a good segue into Tony's story, Dr. Mike. Thank you. I do want to share that this show does not promote or, all we're doing is providing information to everybody. And we like different aspects of information, like Dr. Mike, he likes to share other options for people. So I just want to make sure that everybody's know that we're not doing the show to promote the product. We're actually Dr. Jim was going to share his story on it today. And he is unavailable. So we will try to book you guys again so that we can continue the conversation.
Right.
And Dr. Jim could share his story. But I think it was important for you to be here today, Dr. Mike, because you give us a wealth of information. You're so intelligent and so smart.
Well, one more thing I want to say before we segue over to Tony is that everybody has to look at all their options because, sometimes just because people say that something doesn't work, you have to look at the reason why they're saying that.
Yeah.
And, just like, for example, and this is a whole other show we could do on the pandemic, but Dr. Fauci, who's not high on my list of my favorite people with hydroxychloroquine, and ivermectin, they work very well. And plenty of clinical studies were done. But if they advocated those as treatments for COVID, the emergency use authorization for the vaccine would not have been granted because it can only be granted if there's no viable alternatives. Wow. So a lot of times you have to look at, the old story, follow the money. Pharmaceutical companies have made billions of dollars off of the pandemic.
Yeah, that is a whole different conversation.
That's a whole other conversation.
But this show is about positivity.
Positivity,
now
right.
We're going to flow into story. And Dr. Mike, please feel free to hop in anytime you'd like.
I'm going to have to go somewhere else, but I did stay on later than I thought it was going to be. Yes. I have to excuse myself.
Yes, you can excuse yourself. Absolutely, positively. So if you
Tony, it's nice meeting you, and I'll get to
Dr. Mike.
Recording.
Dr. Mike, what was your number again? I'm interested in.
Sure.
Yes.
The 201. 447. 3800. And my website is DR as in doctor. My last name Evangel, EVANGEL.com.
We can send you the information, Tony. Don't worry. I'll connect you both.
Okay, very good. Okay, take care.
Thanks, Dr. Mike. Thanks. Thank you so much.
Bye. God bless. Bye.
God bless. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So, Tony, let's hear your story. Give us a little bit. We always like to share with everybody your bio. I mean, I know Judy gave it to us, but tell us a little bit about what you were doing prior to the stroke and how the visions that you had and where you saw yourself going.
Well, I was a budding musician. I fell in love with music from 20 years old on. And I was a smart kid in college, and I thought I was going to get my degree, but I had a hard time squaring my school and my passion for music. And so I think I was 24 years old, and I stopped lying to myself, and I said, I want to be a musician. And so I dropped out of school. I made the dean's list the semester I dropped out of school. So
and what were you
great.
going to school for? Like, what was your academic? What was
Well, I was inspired by my high school teacher to be a Spanish translator. I was just enamored with language. And so early on, I wanted to be a translator. But then when I transferred to Wayne State University in Detroit, I kind of got lost in the shuffle, and I figured I needed some business courses to back up my translation thing that I was doing. And then I just got disillusioned. And so I dropped out at 24, and I got one of those back-breaking jobs that pays well. And I immediately, got myself involved in as much music as possible. And Judy was saying that me and Danny Muggs, you call him Danny Muggs now. That's who we're known as, Danny Muggs and Tony Muggs in Detroit area. So he was my writing partner in Fat Belly Brown. And Fat Belly Brown is primarily my songwriting with Danny's awesome guitar playing. And then we also love the blues. So we got involved in a blues band. And Danny has been my musical partner from the time I was 20 till now. And so we started down that path, and we were always in two bands, a blues band and a rock band. And then Fat Belly Brown wasn't really working out the way we hoped. We had two players, a drummer and a rhythm guitar player, that weren't really in it to win it, as they say. So we put down that band, and we decided to form the Muggs. And Danny wanted to be the lead singer, because at that point, up until that point, I was the lead singer of Fat Belly Brown. But Danny was he's got one of those voices, like a Steve Marriott, scream everything out, but that blues kind of thing.
Yeah.
So
that just speaks to you. It just speaks to you. Yes.
Yeah, and we formed the Muggs in February of 2000, and we were gaining a lot of notoriety in Metro Detroit. We were one of the little darlings and exciting blues rock bands coming up. And then in September 4th, 2001, I had a stroke, and it was pretty devastating.
How old were you?
I was 28.
I was 26 when I had mine.
Oh, wow. And like I said before in the green room, the doctors didn't think I was going to survive. But I was in ICU for I think 3 days total, and I made it out to the step down unit, and then from there I went to my rehab center in downtown Detroit. And then I had complications with blood clots in both legs and a blood clot in my lungs. And, I'm sure that can be fatal too. And I was just put through the ringer for 2 months. And I finally got out, and my plan was to walk out of the rehab center after 2 months. And I'm stubborn. And I went from being paralyzed completely to wheelchair into 4-prong cane. And I just wanted to show everyone, or to show my family at least, that I was strong enough, and I would fight. And then you
Tony,
go through.
Can I comment on something
Yes.
I know we really should capture the moment.
Yes.
I know you'll agree with this, that the reason we're both in the place we are is because no is not in our vocabulary word, and we're driven to recover faster. And the reason I say that is because it really takes an inner strength to fight it, like you were just saying, like to want to get better, and to drive to get better. And I often try to help those that have survived the stroke to know that about, like, it has to come inward. People on the outside can't do it for you. So it's really an important moment in time that we take this moment to share with the families around the stroke survivors that support them, and they have to be positive and encouraging, and because not everybody has that force, not everybody's got that oomph that it takes, because it does take us to want to survive, right?
Absolutely. And that's why I felt compelled to write my book. And my book is about me surviving my stroke, and about hilarious stories in the hospital, and the struggles and the rewards. And then, you know, I'm still in rehab. Every day is rehab. I go to the gym, and, you know, I'm basically spinning my wheels, but I go there with a wishful chip on my shoulder that every day I might, you know, climb a rung on the ladder and get a little bit better. Because if you do nothing, nothing is your reward. If
Right.
you do something, miracles can happen.
Yeah.
And, you know, the miracles are subjective, but I'll take, you know, I have perspective. Lying there as a young man, completely paralyzed, trapped in your own body, not even being able to speak, that gives you perspective. It gives you a lust for life. And I made promises to myself that if I ever got out of that trap that was my body, I would live my life to the fullest.
And you had clarity. What I love is you had clarity for that in that moment, because some of us, like I had clarity too. Like I knew that that's not going to work. Like every time they gave me a challenge, okay, what's next? Okay,
Yeah.
what's next? No, what do you want me to do? You want me to do that? Okay, what's next? But
Yep, me too.
What I always try to make myself aware of, that everybody's not the same as us. So how do we support them? How do we share with them? How do we, like I was saying before, I don't know if it was on this, how do we peel back that onion from those that we're trying to help? How do we peel back those onions? I mean, I know your story helps in that, you know, so it's incredible that you wrote your story.
You know, I always say I'm just here to help. I make no bones about it. You can call me, you can email me. I will give you counsel. Throughout my journey, I've met other stroke survivors that were having a rough go of it, and I had to, you know, talk to them quite candidly. It is a decision, and you have to draw a line in the sand. And what are your goals? Do you have any goals? And you know, kind of set it up like a class. And everything is attainable if you can see it and believe it, and then manifest it into reality. So it just, I like digging into other people's lives and sorting out their mess, if you want to call it that, and make them understand that, yes, you can do it. And here's your pathway. My pathway came from a different road, but you can get from point A to point B. But are you going to suffer? Is it going to be hard work? Yes. And why shouldn't it be? You know, the world is not fair, and no one said it was going to be. And
it should. And honestly, I mean, in my world, I didn't look at like, why me? Okay, this is what happened. Now, what am I going to do about it? You know,
yes.
What am I going to do with it? You know, so I need to do something with it. I can't just sit back, you know, and woe is me, you know. So I know, I feel that we all need to have a support team around us. Who was your support team around you that, you know, when things got bad, they loved you through it? That's a book I'm writing, to love people through it. So who was there for you, Tony? Who were your main, you know, support team?
Oh, early on, absolutely. Is my mom, Judy, and my dad, Gary, and you know, my extended family, like my brother, Frank. And then, because, you know, you always hurt the ones you love. And what impressed me the most, and I'll never be able to thank my mom enough. She passed away in March 15th, 2015. She, you know, when I got out of the woods, and maybe it was 2 years into my recovery, I remember telling her that, Mom, I want to be a musician again. And she must have been thinking, how in the world are you going to do this with a paralyzed limb? You know, because it usually takes two limbs, you know, two good hands.
Right.
And, you know, and then um, that's just a start. Are you a good musician? You know, with
Right.
you could be completely able and you still suck as a musician. So
Right.
and she just supported me and she let me figure myself out. I had two things to do. I was obsessed about music and obsessed about my rehab and recovery. And instead of saying, you know, Tony, it's about time you get a job and start contributing, she just let me be me and figure out who I was going to be moving forward. And I can never thank her enough for that. And my stepdad, Gary, too.
Yeah.
They were just,
My dad, when you know, I had left a job and I found another job that I was going to start. And I remember calling my father and said, Daddy, I got the job. And he goes, let me ask you something. He goes, are you happy? I mean, he didn't care whether about the money. He didn't care about the only thing he cared about was that I was happy, so I get it. I get it. It's just, it's incredible, the support team that we have around us, you know?
And then later on, in 2005, I met a girl, a woman, her name is Danielle, and I eventually fell in love with her. And we've been married since 2017, but I've been with her since 2005. Wow. And she's just an incredible woman and puts up with me, puts up with my music. And, you know, I always, you know, like I say, you hear the ones you love. The ones that are closest to me see the awful side of me, or everyone can have an awful side. I try to present myself. My nickname is Tony Blue Skies because I'll always see the positive. But you know, your inner circle, those are people that really count, and you know, love you for who you are, and see that sometimes nasty side of you,
right?
That impatient side of you, you know, so that petulant side of you. So I'm really grateful for the people in my life.
Mm-hmm. Did you like John Fetterman suffer from depression at all when you were going through your,
you know,
stages?
At times, yes, and I speak about it candidly in my book. But along the way, I had epiphanies, and I have this superpower to turn my back on whatever, because ultimately it's a waste of time. It's a waste of energy. And I would rationalize that, you know, when I had my stroke, my emotions were flipped upside down. I don't know if you went through that as well, but at times I was being irrational, and I knew I was being irrational. And so I would somehow separate my mind and say, okay, this is just some chemicals coursing through your body. And if I tried to understand that it was just chemicals in balance, right? Mm. And so that helped me out, just to realize the pragmatic side of my brain. And I know every stroke is different, so not everyone has that capability to do that. Mm. I was just grateful that I could, you know, separate. And in doing that, I got on top of it, and I could then turn my back on it and say, even though I'm having a bad day, it's just one day, and tomorrow I'm going to go get them. And you know
what I had to understand, Tony? I was in such a high place for having survived, and you know, and a second chance at life, and I was so vibrant, and what am I going to do with life, and what am I going to do, and you know, and I'm so happy, and let me bring joy to everybody, and I learned that most people don't think like that. So I needed a balance between how to talk to people and how to act, and then keep my own world separate. Does that make sense to you? Yeah,
it does. I get teased a lot. One of my nicknames is Tony Blue Skies, and that's it hurts when, you know, like, you're teasing me for being so happy. Yes. You know, like, but then again, I would defend myself and say, hey, I have perspective, you do not, and I'm not trying to throw the trump card down on you or anything like that, but you know, I never want anyone to go through what I went through, because brother, it is misery. And so, you know, I'm totally happy being Tony Blue Skies, and I'll defend that. And I'll you know, and I do have fun with it, and I poke fun at myself too.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
you know, because life is about you know,
Enjoying the moments.
Yep, enjoying the moment, and you only get one shot at this. So I decided early on to make the best of it, and so here I am.
And then I try to tell my girls, because life is difficult. Aside from having health issues, life is just difficult. Life is not a bowl of cherries. Life, it can be hard and struggles financially and relationship wise, and just, but I always tell my girls, don't let them steal your joy. You're the one that has to find the joy. You're the one that has to look for the joys, in the simple joys, not doesn't have to be a grand, just the simple joys, that you get up in the morning and that you have your family and that you're enjoying time together, and that, you know, like just the simple things in life, just take a moment to revel in them. Because in one split second, Tony, like Judy and I, and you know, it could be gone. It could be gone.
Yeah, and I believe that, you know, happiness is a mindset. And I was you know, on Instagram, and you know, those memes you come across, and it was I'm paraphrasing, but you have to work at happiness.
Yes.
You have to think about being happy, and like I say, if you it's a muscle that if you work it out, it'll get stronger. And I believe wholeheartedly that you can manifest happiness into your life. Have you ever read a book called oh my God, I'm gonna blank on a note. It's the philosophy of shaping your own reality. And for people that are always happy, they'll bring happiness into their lives. And you know, conversely, if you're always sad or you're always mad at people,
right?
And you know that old saying, misery loves company.
Yes. Yes.
So you're going to manifest that into your life too. So it is a choice. So yeah. I choose to be happy.
Yeah, me too. Me too. Me too. I choose to be happy and be light for other people.
Yes.
You know, bring light into other, you know, and it's sometimes it's hard, because in my world, I have a relationship with God, and I try to always do the right thing by what I believe is goodness for people and for the world. I mean, we gotta be kind to one another. We have to treat people the way that we want to be treated, and it's hard. It's hard to always do the right thing and just try to walk that walk. It's hard. It's hard.
Yeah. Well, you're a great person for having that philosophy. And during COVID, my mantra was kindness and patience. You know, kindness and patience. And I think there's a lot of reasons I could speculate as to why there's less of that. And I think social media is a smoking gun as far as I'm concerned. It's instant gratification, and it's a bad road we're going down. But you know, there are people like us that you know, kindness and patience and understanding, empathy. There's not enough empathy in the world these days.
Yeah.
So,
and the truth is that we need to approach things with empathy, right? We need to understand that we don't know what's going on in that other person's life, you know, when we initially meet them. So it's important to have empathy, and I struggle with this, you know. Sometimes it's hard to you know, just be in your own world, you know, just stay away. You can't fix everybody, you know. Although we try to bring joy to everybody, we can't fix everybody, because the world, I believe that the world has no boundaries anymore, right? Everybody just says what they want and does what they want, and there's no like boundaries anymore. And that happened a long time ago with the social media, I think.
Yeah.
Everybody just, and then when they say something on a text or on Facebook or whatever, you only take that one small verbiage that they're saying, and you label them with that, but that's not true, you know.
Yeah.
They're more than that. They're bigger than that. Talk to us a little bit about that.
Well, yeah, I always think that everyone, especially in social media, wants to paint everything in a black and white world. But, you know, the truth is it's a gray world. And you have to have empathy to realize that people are, like, there are a lot of caveats. People are multidimensional. And if you're just going to take one little thing from that and paint that as their whole being, paint that as the person, you know, at large, and then you're missing out on so many wonderful things that the person could offer you. And, you know, maybe the person was just having a bad day. We all have bad days.
Yes, we do. Yes,
So
we do.
that's where, you know, I try to, you know, implore everyone to, you know, be patient and kind and empathy, and just walk in somebody else's shoes for a day and see see what their lives are like. And then maybe that'll, you know, you have a little bit more insight into your own self and your own awareness, and, you know, open up a door for somebody. Say thank you. It doesn't take a lot to put a smile on somebody's face or smile at somebody, you know.
Yeah.
Smile at a little kid,
Yeah.
because that one smile from a stranger could have the most beautiful effect 10 years down the road, and he or she might remember that, and it could, you know, affect their lives in the most beautiful way. You never know.
Yeah. So let's talk to a little bit about your music,
Okay.
your personal music. I know
Yes.
you were in the Mugs, but let's talk about, because you said there's the Dude, right?
Yeah, just Dude, not the Dude, just Dude. Yeah.
Dude.
Um,
Talk to us a
yeah,
little bit about that, because that's your world. That's music that you wrote. Did you write any stroke songs or?
yeah, I did. As a matter of fact, I love John Lennon from the Beatles, and I love all the Beatles. But he always he and other songwriters tend to write about their own lives, and so I take that approach for my songwriting. And on my first album, which is entitled Kid Gloves, I released that in 2012. It was more like a singer-songwriter, but kind of like maybe an early Beatles album, like Rubber Soul or you know, something like that. You know, I wrote a song about almost dying. I wrote a song about being in the hospital for 2 months called Angels Looking Over Me. And the song about me almost dying was Before the Day Got Away. And, you know, I was going through a separation at the time. And so I wrote a song about my ex-wife called Gotten Over You. And, you know, so I tend to write about personal experiences. And sometimes I mask them in song and, you know, fashion the lyrics in such a way that it speaks to everyone, but
Yes.
it also is about me.
Yeah,
You know.
it's healing too. It's healing.
Oh, it's so healing and cathartic,
Yes.
and it's getting that emotion out, and then it's almost like as if you have to write that song just to get that, just to put that emotion out there and purge it from yourself.
Yes.
Otherwise, it'll drive you crazy until you don't, you know.
Yeah. And I do as well, not with writing music. I mean, I used to write poetry, but you know, and singing. That's how when I'm feeling, you know, those emotions, I just sing, and that clears it for me. You know, that's how I like to speak, and I like to, you know, make sure that people understand that that we're all human. We're all human. We all have feelings. And I think that, you know, touching on the tying in the social media and what you were talking about, you know, when we were talking about one phrase, people, that isn't about the story. And it's not about our story, one stroke experience, because that happens in one split second. And then it's on to, the next phase of our lives. Okay, recovery, and stuff like that. So it's very interesting.
Yeah, there's a early on after I survived my stroke, I was going out and doing just in Metro Detroit. There would be a fundraiser for a man who had a stroke similar to mine, and the family I met this one particular family. I went to this dinner with my mom and my stepdad Gary, and they were so hopeful because this young man had a hemorrhagic stroke due to an AVM, and they looked at me and how well I was progressing and recovering, and that was a sign of hope, no doubt. But I it reminded me that every stroke is different,
Yeah.
and depending on where in the brain, where in the area of the brain you had it, it could be totally different. And although I wanted to provide them hope, I and I never said this to them. I was cognizant of the fact that he may never get out of the wheelchair. He may never talk again. That's how specific every stroke is different, and I make that clear in my book. But given that, you have to hope beyond hope. You have to fight the good fight, and life isn't fair. But it's if, like I said before, if you give nothing, then you deserve nothing. So you have to give all you have to recovering from the stroke.
But you know what, Tony, if hope, what are we going to do without hope?
I know.
Everybody, not only stroke pain, but hope. We all need hope in life. We need to hope, we need to pray. We need to just know that there is, a rainbow. And at the end of that rainbow, it doesn't matter whether it's a short rainbow, long rainbow, a 30-second rainbow, a 10-year rainbow, but there has to have hope. And you're doing such an incredible work by just being yourself and presenting yourself and supporting people and just it's incredible. The music also is an incredible. Jim, could you put Tony's his book photo up, because we have your photo of your book, and we're gonna I forget what the title is. What's the title, Tony?
Called Autobiography. So if you have autobiography and graffiti and sandwich them together, Autobiography.
Okay, and talk to us a little bit about where that title came from.
It's an autobiography, and and my life is kind of like graffiti. It's art. It's messy sometimes. So I just like that play on words, autobiography. And by the way, if you're interested in picking up the book, go to TonyMuggs.com. I had to make a .com because who am I? Who is this guy?
Right.
Wrote a book about stroke and about Detroit music and about being in bands. So if you go to TonyMuggs.com, at the top of the homepage, there's a link to Amazon, because this is a self-published book. I'm hoping in the next year to be picked up by a legitimate publisher.
Right.
But I needed to get this out. So therefore the grace of God goes Amazon. And
my book was self-published, and it's on Amazon as well.
Yep.
Yeah.
So all about that.
Thing.
Yep. But with TonyMuggs.com, there's links to the Amazon, or you can get a PDF if you're into tablets and Kindles. I can send you the PDF of myself, and you can pay that way. And then it's a little bit about me, a little bit about my book, and about my bands and my passion for music, and all the links to my merchandise and songs and physical, like I sell vinyl and CDs and T-shirts and all that good stuff. So it's one-stop shopping. TonyMuggs.com.
Wow, that's incredible. So Tony, what what's your vision for your future? Is it still to what's it like, the vision for your future?
Um, the for the short term, I would love, and I'm trying to figure this out. I'm trying to navigate this right now. I'm doing book readings. I've done two so far. One at the Cadgy Cafe on December 20th, and one just last week on February 15th at this place in Hamtramck, Michigan called Book Suey. It's a bookstore, and so I'm doing readings from this book. But I would also like my ultimate vision, short term, was to contact colleges and do readings at colleges, and then Q&A as well. And then, oh, by the way, I will be playing with Dude or the Mugs at the college campus or the student center later that evening.
Right.
That would satisfy me as an author and me as a musician. That's my short-term goal. I'm still trying to figure out how to contact the right people to get that ball rolling. But yeah, and long-term, I want this book to be in every bookstore across the world, translated in every language, and know that I think that this is Rocky 2.0. I grew up in the 80s loving the story of Rocky, and Luke Skywalker, all the underdogs, right? And I just want people to know that there is hope in the world, and if I can do it, I'm nobody. So if I can do it, everyone has license to do it. And all you have to do is believe in yourself. I know it's a cliche. I know it's cheesy, but there's a reason cliches have stood the test of time, because they're true.
Yeah.
I
agree. And it's very simple. It really, I mean, the philosophy that in life, especially after you've suffered from a life-changing moment, it doesn't matter what that is, whether it could be from a major divorce, or it could be a health scare, or it could be financial bankruptcy. It doesn't matter. But sometimes we reach the bottom, and we have to kind of pull ourselves out. We have to give ourselves the grace to be able to live in the moment. I see you smiling.
It just I can be a stinker, and one of the things I often say jokingly and rather sardonically is, people need to suffer more. If people suffered more, then they would see what life is truly about, because they have more perspective, and everyone would treat each other with kindness, and more patience, because they've been through exactly what we've been through. And that's not an encouraging thought.
It's not a wish for it, but the truth is that if you another way around that is people. I mean, if you're feeling a little bit depressed, you should really go to a homeless shelter, or go to what's it called? What's the word for children that don't have homes?
Orphanages.
An orphanage, or go to a drug rehabilitation center, and just sit in that moment, and really, those types of things will awaken you to how blessed we are if you have your health, and you have a roof over your head, a few bucks in your pocket, or whatever. Whatever you're feeling down about in a relationship or whatever, like those types of experiences will really help you to understand what life's about. Wouldn't
that be great if they taught that in grade schools and in high schools? That would be a mandatory thing you had to accomplish. We could change the world,
Yeah. Well, Tony, we're just on 11:15, but we'd love to continue this conversation with you. Welcome to our family. Judy will tell you that with millions of people in our family, we're so happy to have you officially as a part of our world. Is there anything that you want to make your mark for now to share with our audience before we stream out?
Well, I would just say that it was a pleasure to be on your show. And if you're interested in all of my story, please go to TonyMuggs.com and feel free to contact me at TonyMuggs@gmail.com if you want to talk about any topic, stroke or music. I am very busy, but I will answer you as soon as I can. And I would love if you would consider me to be a guest on your show intermittently throughout any time moving forward.
You don't even have to ask. Judy's already got her pen out. Judy, look at her. She's got her pen. Okay, as soon as we get off, she's probably going to call you. Okay, what's the next day?
Yeah, like I say, I'm here to.
You know what? It's all about the we're writing. If you want to submit something, we're writing a quarterly newsletter. And our first is going to be out on April 18th. But we're writing a quarterly newsletter, and we would love to have a little article in each one, whatever you want to submit for, because it's about keeping the conversation alive. That's what we need to do. And that's our mission in life, not to let it fall through the wayside. Like, when I was saying before, when Luke Perry died and John Fetterman suffered a stroke, it came to the forefront. But yeah, that's wonderful. But we're not letting it go backwards. We want it to stay to the forefront. And what are we going to do about it? So I think it's really, really important. Okay.
I would love to write a short little something in your newsletter. So we have our emails.
Yeah. I'll send you the, I'm creating like a submission, so you could just submit it into there, and we'll just take it from there. So it's really good. It's really good. And a portion, we'll put your book in it and all that kind of stuff. So we'll do a whole article on you. So it's
Thank you.
All right. You so much. All right, we got to go because we're running over time. But here we go on 3. We always blow kisses. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining us. Sometimes when I have guests on the show, I forget that we're live, and we just start to talk about like our conversations, and like today it was like, oh, we're on live. So God bless everybody. Right, Judy, you could say blessings to everybody, and to have a wonderful day. And honestly, from Tony's, have a little empathy for people and try to approach things with empathy, and think 3 seconds before you say something. I think that's a really thing that I'm trying to work on, and I've learned is to really think before you speak. Because words can either encourage somebody or hurt somebody, and you really need to follow that. So thank you so much, everybody. 3, we always blow kisses. 1, 2, 3. Bye, everybody.
Que